声が元に戻ってるような戻ってないようなマムです。ちょっとお茶飲んでガム噛みながらお仕事でもしようかなと思いますザ・スタンリー・パラボーウルトラデラックスって書いてあるけど、もともと9年10年前ぐらいのインディーズゲームというか、もうすごい懐かしいけどやったことはない。その当時に私が好きなツーブロさんのやつをリアタイしてたぐらいかな。でもこのゲームよくできてるし、当時にしてもだから結構いろんな、私がスタンリーとして立ち回るようなので、タイトルにもあるように私はスタンリーであるとつけさせていただきました。早速やっていこうかなと思います。なんかネタバレとかなんかもしあったらそれは嫌なので、あったかく見守っててくださいね。それだけ書いとこうかな。金です。金。パトロンさん、マニマニ。珍しい朝活です。ネタバレ金ですよと。これをピン止めをさせていただきました。知ってるかな、パトロンさん。私はスタンリーです。今日はマムではございません。マムンリーか。スタンリー。始めます。
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427.
マム左の方がいい
Employee
な。
number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in
マムンリ
room
427
427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of
すご
every
くない？
year.
皆勤賞なん
And
じゃないこ
although
れ。
others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
マムンリーは幸せでした。
And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single
指令が
order
一つも来
had
ない。
arrived
あら、
on the
来ない
monitor
ね。
for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation.
おかしいね。
Something was very clearly wrong.
1時間もしまってないよ。
Frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he
Mamundi
came to his
ショックだっ
wits
た。
and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
すごい時計の音だけが。あ、ちょっと待って。ねえ、指示をくださいよって。なんかロード画面が右側に出るからちょっとマムンリー左にウィーン。マムンリー移動。マムンリー移動します。ね、これでいこうかな。多分これで動かす。うわっ！ の感度、ちょっとゆっくり、ちょっと待ってね。ちょっと待って、ちょっと待って、マムンリー。ちょっとカメラ感度もっとこれぐらいなんかブンって振っちゃいそうだから、もっとゆっくりでもいいか。ねえ、こんなに。私多分、マウス自体が配線しすぎるから、これぐらいの方が良さそうかな。ほら、マモンリーデスク。わおね、しゃがむ動作さ、素早すぎない？なんて書いてあるの？ I hate。嫌い？ I hate Sunday ってこと？何？休みたくないってこと？私。やばいじゃん。ただいま、11時。もう本当に。本当だね。扉開けっぱなし。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
いや、これはね、見てってご
No
ら
matter
ん、
how
パト
hard
ロン
Stanley
さん。
looked,
私
he
も記
couldn't
憶
find a
にそん
trace
な
of
に、
his co-workers.
もう10年前だからね、これ。言ったことはないけど。その当時の、ツーブロさんの、リアタイをしてたの。シャープ1。だ。誰もいないね。この人のデスクなんか鉛筆削るしかないけど大丈夫？これ。すごいね。おお。Be my Valentine。見てね。ほんとよね。ブラウン管ってこと。向こう側開いてるよ。こっち？これホラーとかではないのよ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
どっちも開いてるよ。左に、私覚えてんだ、このツーブロさんがね、何してたか。ここのシーンだけははっきり覚えてる。行かないって言ってやってたの。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
それをやりたかった。でもすごいでしょ。ちゃんとナレーションさんはさ、そのナレーションで行くんだよ。
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
すごいなんかちょっと怖がり。
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
ねえねえねえねえ。買わしてくれない？
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on his overall personality. It's possible that this is why
私すごい執
everyone
着して
left.
るって言ってる。おい。飲み物飲みたいだけやないかい。
But at last, he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
左の扉に入るって言った。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years
そっ
ago.
とじ。そっとじやで。君が閉める前に私が閉める。おお、すごい。アマゾンかな。あ、ヒール。で、こんなとこにコップ置くやついるな。絶対いるな。しゃがむ。うん。Do not jump。あら。ペナルティやるって言ってる。あれ、ジャンプができないんだが、ちょっと失礼。ジャンプスペースって書いてあるよね。ジャンプしないよ。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone
あ、
else
なんか
can be
扉、あそこ開いてる。
difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you... What? Really? I'm in the middle of something. Do you have zero consideration for others? Are you that convinced that I want something bad to happen to you? Why,
ナ
I
レ
don't
ー
know
ション
how
が
to
起こってる。
convince you of this,
ナ
but
レ
I
ーションが起こ
really
ってる。
do want to help you, to show you something beautiful. Look, let me prove it. Let me prove that I'm on your side.
チ
Give
ャ
me a
ンスくれって言
chance.
ってる。チャンスくれって言ってるわ。おっちょ、今俺が喋ってるやないかっていう声ね。聞こえたよね。おっちょ。あら。
Now listen carefully, this is important. Stanley walked through the red door.
すごいね、わかりやすく。あかに行かない。
Aha,
What?
perhaps you misunderstood. Stanley walked through the red door.
あ、すごいなんか、結構強めにレッドって言われた。うわー、扉なくなったね。赤いとこに行かない。
I still don't think we're communicating properly. Stanley walked through the red door.
めっちゃ怒る。めっちゃ怒るやん。めっちゃ怒るやん。めっちゃ多い言って。ここ行かざるを得ないの？めっちゃ見て。これ青い扉行ったらどうなるの？
All right, fine, go ahead, Stanley. You want to know so badly what's out there? You want to find out what lies at the end of this road you've chosen? Well, don't let me stop you.
何？
You see? There's nothing here. I haven't even finished building this section of the map because you were never supposed to be here in the first place.
そこなん
Broken
かある。
rooms, exposed developer textures. Is this what you had wanted? Was it worth ruining the entire story I had written out specifically for you?
めっちゃ怒って
Do
る。
not think I put a lot of time into that, because I did. And in the end, it was all for nothing, because this is what you wanted to see. Help me here, Stanley. Help elucidate these strange and unknowable desires of yours. What
私に
would have made this
助けてって
game
言ってる。
better? What did you want to see? Vehicles? Skill trees? Work with me. You've given me absolutely nothing so far. Tell you what. Let me take a stab in the dark at a new design, and you can give me some
そう
feedback.
そうそう。
There
私
we
は無言。
go. A third option. This already feels leaps ahead of where we were before.
何これ？
Go ahead, Stanley. Take it for a spin.
なんか、何ここ？壁って書いてある。なんかさ、差し出された場所行きたくないよね。生かされる。くそ！生かされる。
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. Now, tell me about your experience with this new version. Would you say that the game benefited from allowing you more choices?
うん。
Feel free to be honest. I'm looking for some real critical
でも
feedback
選
here.
択肢が増えたのは悪いことじゃないわね。逆張りの精神よ。なんか、敷かれたレールってすごく嫌じゃない？自分から敷いてってるならまだしも。あ、これさっきの部屋のあれだ。何これ？押してみる？
A one? I mean, I can understand if you had reservations, you saw ways the game could be improved to more fully express itself mechanically and artistically, but a one? That's not even helpful. What am I supposed to do with that? But I guess it isn't my place to judge.
すごい悩んでる。
Here, based on the data from your previous playthrough, I've compiled a new version. And to be perfectly candid, I think I've knocked it out of the park with this one. Let's take a look.
おっ！スタンリー・パラブル。ワールドワイドって書いてある。何それ。おろろろろろろろろ。これ私らしい。Just it's you. It's me? もう一回真ん中行ってみよう。
Now, would you say that
Oh.
competitive leaderboard helped you feel motivated to keep walking through doors? Again, honest answers, please.
Please rate your experience. じゃあ、無難に3。
Hey, I nearly forgot. I've got a prototype of a new game I've been working on, and now would be a lovely
Nani?
opportunity to give it some playtesting. You
いい
wouldn't
よ。
mind taking a look at it, would you? Perfect.
course.
Let me boot it up.
Oh.
In this
What?
game, the baby crawls left towards danger. You click the button to move him back to the right, and if he reaches the fire, you fail.
ごい嫌なこと
It's
す
a
んな
very
んだ。
meaningful game, all about the desperation and tedium of endlessly confronting the demands of family life. I think the art world will really take notice. But of course, the message of the game only becomes clear once you've been playing it for about 4 hours. So why don't you give it 4 hours of play to make
いや、
sure
まだ
it's
始めてちょっとで
effective?
す。
Be sure to keep notes on your experience.
かわいそうじゃん。お前、これいつまで続くのこれ。何これ。最悪じゃねえか、このゲーム。なんてこと。いつまでこれするん？おい。おい。いかすかこれ。あー、かわいそう。かわいそすぎる。燃やすか。
You heartless
う
bastard.
ーん。
Did you do it because you hate babies or purely to
Yeah.
spite me?
あなたが
If
ず
it's
っ
the
と
latter, well, I don't know what to do. I'm completely
あな
out
たが
of
ずっとこのボタン
ideas.
を押せるかで
I
しょ。
can't think of a single
降り
thing
てらっし
that
ゃい。
might improve the experience for me. I'm not even going
で
to
らっしゃ
try.
い。
I'm out.
燃えてるや
I'm
ない
out.
か。
I'm done.
ハリボテまで見えてるよ。
Thank you for playing. Your input was extremely valuable. Oh, hey.
マ
Since
ジ
my
で
game
4
is
時
so
間やるん
awful,
か。
why don't we play someone else's game just to ease the pain? Let's see. What do we have here?
何があんのほら。早く。歌ってる場合じゃなかよ。
This seems like it'll work. Let's give it a shot.
何？後味の悪いゲーム。おお。
Aha! Fascinating. What do you think this game is about, Stanley? What's our backstory? What is our motivation? Well, it seems obvious to me that you are meant to play as a creepy man spying
Whoa.
on innocent civilians below you from up high in your creep tower.
あな
Perhaps
たの
for
肝
some
タワーっ
sort
て
of
何よ。
twisted erotic purpose. Yes, that must be it. What a fascinating venture into the experience of total mental depravity. So far, I love everything about this game, Stanley. And it seems there's even more. Come,
何がある？
let's venture outward and see what else is out there.
めちゃめちゃ。あららら、開いちゃったじゃん。すごいわ。おう。すごいわ。でも写真があるもん。はあ。 肝タワーって何よ。肝タワー。いやいやいや、良いお年を。私も今日がゲーム納めでございます。いい年末をお過ごしくださいまし。何こんなとこに住んでんの？私やばくない？
Oh no. No, 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 it can't be.
え？なあ、こんなとこに一人で。
It is. It's an open world game. Good God, quickly block it off. Oh, thank goodness, Stanley. What a close call.
ああ、進撃の巨人か。
You nearly wandered off into that thing. That big open, just wandering around. No right or wrong directions. No path to follow. You can just go in any... Oh, thank heavens we avoided it. We're out of the woods now, Stanley. Okay, I'm going to get us out of here. Let's find another game. Preferably something with walls. Something with nice, big, insurmountable walls.
お前
Okay, I think this will be just the thing.
何？
Wonderful. See, this is exactly what I had in mind. Just a nice big box for you to run around in. There isn't any possibility.
これ車のゲームのやつじゃ
Now
ん。
this is game design. Stanley, if you manage to get lost in this game, I
サッカー
will
ボール
be
蹴ってますやつやん。
phenomenally impressed.
これ。車。
Okay, so what exactly do we do here? Let's see. There are lots of cars here in the back, but obviously there's no racetrack. Okay, I'm seeing that there's a ball of some kind back here. Is this game sports ball?
わからずこ
Stanley,
こに招いた
I
のか。
think it's sports ball. Oh, what fun. We shall run the bases and do a touchdown together. Yes, I think surely we must. Okay, Stanley, here's the ball. Have fun.
でかすぎない？
Are you doing it? Are you winning? Is this fun? Is it better than my miserable little story that I worked so hard on? Stanley, I...
降りろ
What are you doing? Stanley, don't do that. I can't follow you there. I can't help you. How will you write a story without me? You can't do it. You know that. Stanley, come back.
あ、なんか届いた。届きました。こらこらって。すごい穴ぼこだ。すごい。ベータ。作りかけのオフィスって感じ？落ちたらやばそう。こっちに行けそう？行けなさそう？行けない？で戻れないもんね。降りてみる？すごい、ボーボー言ってる。おうおう逆だ。なんだろう、古いね。扉に扉が。あ、なんか光ってる、あそこ。あ、いってらっしゃい。さっぱりしてらして。あ、なんか光ってるよ。ゲーム？ミュージックステーションみたいな。音楽室みたいな感じかな。お！
I wonder what he found. If what he wanted was to be the leading man in his own story, well, perhaps he's gotten it. Down in wherever he is right now. I wonder if he's happy with his choice. And if he's learned the heavy cost that comes with it. He'll understand soon what I was trying to tell him. He needs me. Someone who will wrap everything up at the end. to make sense out of the chaos and the fear and the confusion. That's who I
う
am.
ん。
That is what I mean to this world. Oh, yes.
それは
Yes, I'll
私。
be back. There's
いや、
no
マ
other
ムンリ
way.
です。
Once this ends, after it all comes to a close, then I'll be back. The end will be here soon. Very soon. I can wait.
待ちましょうって言ってる。なんかナレーションの人怖いよ。うわっ、これ、一旦ファーストエンドではいや、戻ってきた。いやこんな感じでね、選択肢によって、こう、出口がね、変わるアドベンチャーゲームでございます。これ面白いよ。戻ってきたから行ってみようか。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
ジャンプが効かないのはどうにかならないかな。しゃがみはできるけど、ジャンプができないんだが。なんか違うのでできるかな。何かキーを押してください。他のキーに当てたらジャンプできるかな。ちょっとやってみるね。ああ、ジャンプできない。ジャンプする必要がないってことなのかな。仕方ないね。いつもここが効かないわけじゃないから。変わり映えないね。お、来た。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
でも私はもう一回右に行かせていただきます。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
はい、ここ。
Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider.
ちょっとコメント変わった。私も少しお茶飲もうかな。
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
そうね。こ
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
う。めちゃめちゃ言うやん。お
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
すごい神々しく光ってる。仕事したくないな。さよなら。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left.
あら、はじめまして。マニモニスムーズジップ
Oh, no.
Whoa!
No, it's to the right. My mistake.
え
No.
Oh!
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
うん、いいよ。めっちゃ調べてる。
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
こっちなんですか？すごいとこに車挟んでますけど。本当にこっちなんですか？マニマニ？
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be
何
here
ここ？
yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to
Phil って書いてある。
Who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole
Phil.
story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, hmm? Okay, from the top.
踊らされたんだが。おーい。お
All
ー
the
い。
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
何事もなかったかね、始めさせるやん。そしてさ、ジャンプが効かないこの状況どうしたらいい？これ一回サイかけても大丈夫かな？ジャンプ効かないなんてことある？今まで。しゃがみはできるんだけど。ねえ。ちょっと待ってね。一回サイかけてみようかな。ちょっとお待ちを。一回再起動かけてみるね。ジャンプボタンがあるけど、ジャンプボタンが今効かないんだなぜか。少々お待ちを。整合性をチェックしてみようと思います。なぜ効かぬ？ジャンプしたいんだが。みんなもう年末かな。何してお過ごしなのかしら。大丈夫だったみたいだけど。ちょっと待ってね。よし、もう一回返す。これでどうかな。あら、あ、ナポとかさん。あ、ダークさんも。まにまに、ちょっとね。今日はマムンリーで行きます。もう一回初めからになっちゃうかな。あ、間違えた。待って待って。始める前にちょっと一言いいですか？何？時間間違えちゃった。あ、ゲームを起動して2回もちゃんと設定してくれてありがとうございます。ほとんどの人はこのステップを真剣に捉えません。12時のままにして切り上げてしまいますと。最初に起動した時に時計合わせたんだ。でも今間違った。1時間間違えちゃった私。私はそれに感謝をしているんです。この体験を大切にちゃんと注意を払ってくれていることだと思うんです。あなたが合わせた時間の正しい。間違えたって言ってるじゃん。恥ずかしい。こうしましょうよ。あなたは協力的ですし、どうせだったら次にこのゲームを起動してこの画面を開いたら一番好きな時間を設定してください。次にこのゲームを起動したらね、 すごい、ゲームに語りかけられた。最初からになっちゃうかな。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
初めからになっちゃった。でももう一回行きましょう。
All of his co-workers were gone.
これはね、
What did it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps
10
he'd
年
simply
前ぐ
missed
ら
the
い
memo.
のゲームでございます。昔のインディーズゲームかな。私は427番。私はスタンリー、まあ、スタンリーならマムンリーです。で、このね、こういう与えられたオフィスのデスクのパソコンに向かって指示が飛んでくるんだって。
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a
その
trace
指
of
示
his
を飛んできた通
co-workers.
りにずっとボタンを永遠に押し続けたの。何年も何時間も。別に嫌いじゃない、私はその仕事を。で、なぜかその日来たら指示来ないし、誰もいないし、あれ ?1 時間早くなった。私は時計間違えたからだ。これはアドベンチャーゲームでございますよ。でもこれ10年前のやつの、なんだろう、バグとか修正したり、CG ちょっと綺麗になったり、そのなんかウルトラデラックス版って言われてるんですけど、実際の元の、これスタンリーパラドルっていう英語表記のゲームは、一番最初に出てるやつは700円ぐらい。今はこの、ちょっとバグ修正したり新しいのが入ってるものに関しては、今安くてね、セール来てて1000円ぐらいで購入できますよ。10年前のゲームよ。ちょっと見てて。みんな番号がついてるの。さっきと同じル
When
ート行こ
Stanley
うか。
came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
途中からやり直しがいかなかった。いかなーい。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the
さっきも
employee
ね、いい
lounge
かなーいって
first,
したん
just to
だ
admire。it. Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate,
でもやっぱ
beautifully
ジャンプでき
constructed
ない
room.
わ。
Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
なんだ。ジャンプできませんことよ。いますか。
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
最初はね、まっすぐ行ったら全部無視したの。私はこちら。
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got
会
back
議
on
は
track.
したくない。さよなら。さっきのルートでもう一回ちょっと行ってみますね。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now, in order to get back, he needed to go,
悩んで
from
る。
here, it's, left. Oh, no.
Oh, no.
No, it's to the right. My mistake. No.
Oh, no.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever
こ
said
こ
it
だって
was
言っ
to
た
the
もんね、さっ
right?
きね。
What was I
もう一回
thinking?
同じルー
It's
トでさっ
clearly...
きのとこにまず
Oh,
戻り
dear,
ま
would
す
you。hold on for a minute, please?
めっちゃ調べてる。
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep. Okay, yes.
Okay.
I've got it now. This story is absolutely
開け、ごま
definitely this way. No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all
ネタバ
a
レしちゃう
spoiler.
よ。
Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to oh, who am I kidding?
私
It's
も
all
4
rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the
427
beginning.
どこ
And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track.
427
Okay, from the
まだい
top.
る。全然ある。お で、さっきここに戻ってきたんだけど、ジャンプできないからって戻ったけど変わりませんでしたね。427。ここ、マムのデスク。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Mr. Memo。 ここにも行けそうにはないのね。こういうゲームよ。不思議でしょ？
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere.
君が書いたんだ。
Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
なんか扉いっぱいある。どれ選ぼうかな。でもなんかさ、当選簿されてんのすっごい気になるけど、ジャンプできない。すごい速さで屈伸するけど、ジャンプできない。これ。一番右行ってみる？繋がってるやないか、これ。お？
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before.
どこに向かえば？
Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again. But it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
お！あら。戻ってこさせられちゃったわ。
All of his co-workers were
何度も
gone.
同じでやりとりさせようとするわね。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
やり直せると思って。また扉がいっぱい開くわよ。ない！
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
戻すんかい。戻って、あら？こんなとここぼれてたっけ？私の部屋はどうなってる？
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it
なんかちょっと違くない？ずっとぐるぐるして。
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
しやっとたどるって言ったって。お。棚。
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off. So, good job. Oh, no, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
またリスタートすんの？あ。アドベンチャーライン。これに沿ってくださいみたいなこと？めっちゃレール敷かれてるやん。Oh no.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable adventure line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
ねえ、私がこういうのに沿うと思ってるの？あなた。 天の声よ。今まで私はこれを全て無視し続けたのよ。
No, no, I'm done. We're living it up to the line from now on.
ダメだって言われた。これは行かざるを得ないのかな、ここ。うん。やむなしね。おお、すごい、ご丁寧。
See? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny.
The destiny?
Here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story?
目的の
Simply
な
by
い
the
スト
act
ー
of
リーも
moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can
戻ってき
both
てしまっ
agree
たわ。
that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right?
すごいなんかな、
Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests
壁を
inside of your subjective experience of this office, is
壁を
this office in fact the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa, 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 whoa.
壁を言ってますけ
Hang
ど。
on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize.
かわいすごい、はてな
Not
はてな
sure
はてな
where
は
I
てな
was going with all that.
う
You know what?
い
I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
あららったった。おう、何きっぴくした。ならなら。やめて、急に。急に。ららら。何これ。急に。急に。マトロス、急に音が大きいって。ここに繋がってたの。パッパパーラッパーン。
Great. Cut the music.
ああ、よ
Go
かった。
back
もううるさ
and
か
look
った、
at
本
that
当に。
fern.
おい。
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it
パッパ
closely
ラーパッ
and
パーパ
remember it
ッパー
carefully.
パ
You won't want to miss anything.
このシダが何？重要になる。Why? Why don't you think so? なんでそんなこと言ったん？まあ、行くな。いいね。鼻詰まる？
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No.
戻ってきたじゃん。
Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
バン、これって私の戻ってきちゃうじゃん、これ。何、クロスしてる方行けって？仕方ないなぁ。こっちに行かしたいんでしょ？あ、ここに戻ってきた。
No, 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 not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Oh, I can't take
い
this
やいや、
anymore. To
あな
hell
たの
with
ライン
it.
がここに引っ張ってきたんでしょうよ。
Restart.
わあ、またリスタートした。あ、今度は合ってますかねえ。これ。大丈夫です？天の声さん？
You know what, Stanley?
Oh.
I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
よろしいんでは？その選択肢、あ、なんかだんだん
Yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be?
なんかずっと待ってないこれ。
Use your imagination.
おーい
Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
ずっと回ってるで。おーいずっと同じとこ来てるよ。なんかすごい楽しんじゃってる天の声さん。うわー
No, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. And we should be fine.
パッパラパッパー。どこ行くの？パッパラパッパーパッパーパー。喋ってますけど。残るよね。Oh.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
やだ。やだ。やだ。ここしか行けないじゃん。おう。
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes?
ナレーターがいなくなる。ついにスタンリーが死ぬ。やだ、マムンリ死ぬ。
So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall.
はい、考えなさいね、ちょっと。
Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really?
Oi.
No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I
焦んないの
don't
よ。
want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it.
うん。やらなくてもいいよ。
And the timer
Whoa!
stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us?
よくやった
Will。something happen?
ナレちゃんよくやった。
So, okay.
うん、落ち着こう一緒に。ほう。
I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story, wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you do...
Whoa! 急に何？リスタートしないって言ったじゃん。おい！ナレちゃん？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
どうしたナレちゃん？何にも喋らへんやな、ナレちゃん？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
いや、
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
ラインがある。
Wow. Yes. This
ナレちゃん
room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
ナレちゃんどうしたナレちゃん。さっきまでの愉快なあなたはどこ行った？会議室でも言っとく？いや。一回言っとく？
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
出ざるを得ないのか。ナレちゃん
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a
半端
wave
が
of
ね。
disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
ナレちゃんあなたはどこに行ったの？
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
ナレちゃん
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility
事
of
故ってないこ
facing
と大
his
丈夫？
boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk?
ナ
All
レちゃ
because
ん
he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense.
さ
And
っ
as
きの
Stanley
で
pondered this, he began
も
to
う一
make
個のエ
other
ンドだったの
strange
かな。
observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why
あ
did
りえる。
doors close automatically behind him wherever he went?
それよ。
And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This
戻
can't
っ
be
てきちゃっ
real.
た。
And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip
Oh
of his
my
tongue.
gosh.
He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming! He yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation.
gosh.
His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to
やばい、永遠
himself,
ル
I
ープ来
suppose
た。
I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well
最
enjoy
悪
this
や
while
ん。
I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying and began to gently
Oh
float
my
above the
gosh.
ground. Then
で
he imagined himself soaring
私
through
浮いてない？
space on a magical star field, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and
それ
thinking?
な
Now
ナレ
the
ちゃん。
voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
あ
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to
あ、抜
all
け出せ
people
ま
in
せ
their
んけ
dreams,
ど。
the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley
God.
simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in
よう
his
喋るな、
life.
ナレちゃん。
Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice
すごい
explain all
喋る。
that? This
ナレち
voice
ゃ
was
ん。
a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently and he invited himself to wake
あ、
up.
目閉じる。あ
He
ー。
felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world
歩き
outside
続けて
this
みよう。
one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
あ、怖い。は？
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an
こ
office.
んなうまく
I
い
am
かないっ
real.
しょ。
Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
うわ。なんて
This
い
is
う。
the story of a woman named Mariella.
え？
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose,
私
got
今度
dressed, gathered her
マムエラにな
belongings,
った。
and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man
マムーリー死
who
んだ。
had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
うんうん。これはこれでもう一個のエンドなのか。あー。わー。なるほど。たくさんエンドあるな、これ。めちゃめちゃエンドがある。これがもう一つのエンドでした。マムンリシス。いやー。ほら、指示が来ない。またマムンリ。行きま
All
ー
of
す。
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a
い
memo.
やー、すべて無視した世界を言ったから。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
そうだな。すべて言うこと聞いてみるか。ピュアホワイトマムでいきます。いつもピュアホワイトなんだけどね。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his
さっき
boss's
下行っちゃった
office.
から
Coming to
上
a
行きます
staircase,
か。
Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
あら。To be rich is a crime. To commit crimes isn't rich. What life it would be to have two pictures one. リッチになるためにはそんなリッチじゃなくてもいいのよ。そうよ。ペイントしたもん。左に行かないって。 流暢に聞こえるでしょ。流暢に聞こえる発音はかっ
Stepping
こいい
into
よ
the manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, what dark secret was being held from him. What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of
2845
course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
お高そう。高そうね。高そう。あれなんて言った？
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
もう忘れた。
Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad,
今日は
Stanley
ゲーム
happened
を
to
収めよう。
input
で
the
も
correct code
夜まで
by
ね、
sheer
ちょっと
luck.
やれると思います。
Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
今日はゲームを収め。明日からはね、私の隔離も解除されますので、一応ね。まだ背筋はちょっとしてる気がするから、万全にして帰りますけど。ゲーム始めどうだろう。でも、いつ帰ってくるかにもよる。まだ未定なのよね。けど、確実に、ママの仕事始めが4日からなので、4日には多分ゲームするんじゃないかな。3日に早く帰ってきて、4日、もっとそれよりも早いかもしれないけど、ちょっとまだ未定です。だからもし通知が来たらよろしくたも。まあでもみんなね、年末年始いろんな予定あるだろうからあれですけど。年末ね、もう29だって。あ、かない。おいーんってこれが開いたの？あ、すごい、このビリビリビリビリビリビリっととすごいなんかあれ。あらー、なんかすごい。間違えてないよ。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he
それも
felt
正
a bit
解さね。
peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for
これ
himself,
さっきのあれ
to
じゃん。
question the nature of his job. Why did he feel
会議
this
室
now,
左。
when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
会議室左行ったやつじゃん。あ、おう。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Escape.
Although this passageway had the word
そんな風に書いてあったら
escape
こっ
written on
ち
it,
来るに決まってん
the
じゃ
truth
ん。
was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
嘘、やだ。私死ぬん。エスケープって書いてあったやないか。
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
やだ。
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to
Okay.
walk forward and willingly confront his death.
やだ。何それ。うわー。うわー。え？
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story. Trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great
ジャンプができないこのゲームで無理だろ。
blind man. And so he resigned
そこにジャンプさせてスペース全くこれさ。
Farewell, Stanley.
ちょっとジャンプさせてって言ってんの。スペースを押してもらうのめでさいな。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal
ちょっ
jaws.
とジャンプさ
In
せ
a
てって。
single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
いや。わあ。え。マム列車。あ。あ。The Stanley Parable.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
The Stanley Parable. ん
When every path you
Whoa.
can walk has been created
Ah,
for you long in
nice.
advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same.
バトルさん
Do you
クリ
see
ップ
now?
Thank you.
Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
わあ、これ私のお部屋？オフィスレイアウト。こっからスタートして誰もいませんね言って起きて、この冒頭部分のテンポが重要ででここで選ぶ2つのドア。すごい。飛ぶ棚。ちょっと後でクリップ見ありがとうありがとう。スタンリーのパソコン。なんかミュージアムここ。風景が。オフィスのパソコン。あ、ソリータしてる。オフィス。ボタンの音。ゴッチさん、おはよう。もにもに。お仕事お疲れ様ね。みんな収めた？すごいクレジット。メンテナンスルーム。わお。反対側は？今日で収めか。あとちょっと頑張れ。
Upward to the power source at the top of the facility to end this injustice forever. Stanley stood on the roof.
すごいね、この反響音。
Now then, this elevator for sure.
フリーダムエンド。すごい、いろんなもの見れる。エスケープメニュー。めちゃめちゃいろいろあるけど。これさっきのところだ。 ナレーターのメール。なんだろう、本当に展示物って感じねえ。あ、オフィスの経年変化。2011年、2012年、2013年。違ったんだ。早いやって。あ、うん。美術館よ。
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another.
急に女性にな
How
った。
they both wish to be free.
スタンリー・パーブル。怒んなきゃいけないの自分で。やだー。あ
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail.
え、なになに
Push escape. And
なんでま
press
た
quit. There's no other way to beat this game.
やだ
As you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it.
やだえ、どうしよう。え、でもこれ、だってこれでやめるかどうかの選択肢に迫られてるよね。
Don't let time choose for you.
どうする？いや、やめな。あ、これでやめろって言ったよね、今。いや、でも死ぬこともストーリーだろ。
Don't let
くしゃば。あ、死んだ。女性のナレーションがいっちゃん怖いやないか。ねえ。ちょっと。めちゃめちゃストーリーが変わって楽しい、これ。どうする？
All of his co-workers were gone.
あ、
What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
ねえ、このジャンプできない仕様は何なの？怖いよーとかこっちさんがガクブルしてる。
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left.
私まだ一個やってないことあるんだよね。こっちじゃなーい。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
はい。
The lounge was sublime, a work of art. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
まだ行けてないのがね、あるの。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he
怒ら
wasn't
しちゃっ
5
た
years
か
ago.
ら、私あっちに行ってないのよ。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your
行ってみよ
enemy,
っか。
really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this
そう、
time.
指示に従おうと
There's
して
someone
も
you've been neglecting, Stanley.
私よく迷子にな
Someone
る
you've
しね。
forgotten about.
エペしてても
Please,
こっちこっち
stop
どっ
trying
ち
to
とか言
make
って
every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her. This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself. To
My
put
chance.
your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
彼女誰？ 彼女とは誰？
That's her, Stanley.
何？
You need to be the one to do this.
Oh.
To reach out to her.
誰？
Oh, Stanley, is that you?
あ、びっくりした。
Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife? They
Yeah,
want
yeah,
to commit their life to you.
ちょっ
I'm
と待
trying
っ
to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get
ゴ
you
ッ
to
チ
see
さ
me
んのコメン
something.
トに
Come inside.
コメント以上にこの白いマネキンにびっくりしたって。ゴッチさんのコメント以上にこれにびっくりしてもったやないか。おーい。あー、あ、愛ちゃんですがさ、ハロハロ。いや、なんか、全身交代。全身交代。僕に彼女はいません。ああ。はい。
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
何どういうこと？おはようございます。従業員番号427マムンリーです。うい。
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
ああ、こうやってスタンリーずっと押してたんだよね。指示来て B。
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
やられたこと言うね。言っときゃいいよみたいな。9？ R 押してみるか。R。進まへん。進まへん。9しか押させてくれない。
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown.
させろ。
Fantastic discoveries of new lands.
させろ。
It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that
怒って
none
な
of
い
it
この人。
would ever happen to him.
テレビを見るため。
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at
ここに
work,
テレビある。
he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished
分か
off
った
the
から出
face
して
of the。
マネキン
earth.
と2人嫌だ。
The thought excited him terribly.
少年。
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and
ね
that he
こ
could
こから
go
出し
through
て。
either.
や
At
だ。
last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door.
ちょっ
The
と。
mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
食の準備します。
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it
でも
the
いいナレー
Stanley
ションよね。
Parable.
聞くたん懐かしい。子供たちに
It
も
was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then
これ
again,
私？
and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time. But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets, the more he forgets which life is the real one.
ああ。こう毎日毎日同じことの繰り返しだと。
And I'm trying to tell him this, that in this world he can never be anything but an observer. that as long as he remains here, he's
オブ
slowly
ザーバー以
killing
外何も
himself.
なれないけ
But he
ど。
won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
押すなって言ったよ。このまま押さずに待ってみる。ねえ。でも出勤したくない気持ちはすごくわかるよね。ねえ。まあ、だとして、毎日毎日これの繰り返しよねとかって。浅はかね。その何もない日常がすごい幸せだったりするのよ。何にもないってすごい幸せなことなんだから。何も押すなって言われちゃったけどさ。マネキンもいないな、だって。これ押さずにこのままいて、これ、どうなんの？無情に、時計の音だけ響いてますけど。ねえ。カウントしてる？なれちゃん。ほんとよね。おさな進まんのちゃん？でもここが私のデスクになってきてるのは言うまでもない。これを押すと完全なるリスタートと変わらないよね。おい、マムンリー。君はそれでええのか？おい、マムンリー。君はそれでええのか？まあ、でも、養うためには、確かに仕事が必要。娯楽のためにも。けどそんなポチポチする仕事でええんかなあ。でもね、何事もない日常が幸せだし、嫌なことも多少スパイスとしてないと、多少ね、いいこと噛み締められないんだよね。だからなんか仕事で休みがない分休みが嬉しいし、とかね。休みの時間はいろいろだけどね、人それぞれ。とか。ねえ。ちょっと輝くんよな。ね。ねえ、全然進まらへん。押すなって言ってんの。絶対進まらへんのか。9押したら9。ああ。押すか。進まらへんもん。なれちゃん出てこうへんもん。
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here,
持ってき
he's
た。
electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
何も質問しないために「お」を押してください。おーい。さざるを得ないやないか。
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled
伝えな
to.
くちゃ。
I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see.
今回は分かって
Maybe
くれる
this
でしょ。
time. And I tried again. And Stanley pushed a button.
すご
And
い
I
ス
tried
トレー
again.
ト。
And Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
死んでくださいやって怖っ。マモンリシス。なるほど。今度はこういうエンドでしたか。 面白いね。なるほどね。めちゃめちゃある。多分ね、終わらないと思う。これ。でもほんとこれ、それぐらい、めちゃめちゃ濃厚なね、よく作られたゲームですよ、これは。しかも10年前よ。約10年前。やばくない？ちょっといろいろ考えされるもんね。これは。本当に面白いと思うよ。だから、ああいう、今もっとね、デトロイトとか、もっと選択肢で、ね、こう、エンディングが変わるとか、あるけど、先駆けでもいいんじゃないのぐらいのなんか、ユーモアさがね。ちょっとまだやってないことあるかな。日じゃないよね。あんなナレーションに、おいちょって怒られたの初めてよ。マジで初めて。ちょっと飲み物だけ取ってきます。ちょっとそのままお待ちくだされ。ちょっとママがシュンします。シュンして。シュンしまーす。戻りました。ちょっとまだね、喉の。ありがとう、ただいま。おかえり。ただいま。まだやっぱ喉がね、完全な調子が戻るまでは、まだ鼻とか喉とかがちょっとまだね、お風邪って感じするんよね。だから水分補給大事。いや、これめっちゃおもろい。ぜひやってみてよって思う。よっ。みんなは年末年始どっか行かないのかな？私はもう帰省するだけなんですけど。私長期休みないからね。よいしょ。しようかな。もう一個やってなさそうな。いいなー。私ほんと今日飲み会だったんですけどね。一応なんか、やめときました。ごめんねって言っても、インフルかかった段階で。行きたかったなー。なんか、まだ隔離解除の時期ね、一応そこには達してないし。みんな気にしないよって言ってくれたけど、それでねえしね、体調もしみんな移しちゃったら嫌やから、ごめんねって言って、インフルになった時点で。みんなはいいよいいよとか言ってくるけど、いやいやいやいや、ダメダメダメダメ。ダメダメダメダメ。 うん。いいね、出かける準備。ルンルンだわ。さてと、もうほとんどやったと思いたいだが、ラスト1回ぐらい行ってみる？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
さてと、え？ニュー、何これ？コンテンツ。そんなとこ開けられたら行くやん。
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
気になるやん。こんなん。え、どこへ？
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
はい。
As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
存じ上げてます。
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
はい。あ、はい。
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley
Oh.
Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
はい。
Please
何か
step
すごい怖い。
inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe
め
content.
ちゃんこワクワクしちゃう。何この。かわいい。ちょっとなれちゃん。かわいい。めちゃんこワクワクしちゃうって何？
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Eh?
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
待って、なんかこれ私バイオハザードみたいな感じする。すごい嫌だ。
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley. All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
New content. 何これ？ニューコンテンツ。ああ、ゴチさんチャネポ貯めてくれてるの？何ですかこれ？
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Okay.
Goodness. Another elevator.
ナレ
Stanley, I have
ナレー
to
ションさ、
say,
ナレちゃんが
initial
一番あれじゃない
impressions
の？
of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could count
20
to
時間。
30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The
怒ってる、
Stanley
怒ってる、ナレ
Parable
ちゃん。
Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh wait, there's more. Very good.
焦んないの、ナレちゃ
I
ん。一緒
knew
に
there
行
had to
こ
be
う
something
よ。
else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
怖い。
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content.
ちゃんが一番怒っ
It
とる
could
やない
never
か。
have lived up to such expectations. If
こ
you're
の開
still
発
with
し
me,
た人ク
why
ソお
don't
も
we
ろい
just
やん。
reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great
いつもみた
time
いにさ。
together like always.
そうだよね。なれちゃんがいないと成り立たないよね。まあ、やり直してもいいかもしれないよね。え、やり直しが違う。え Oh no? この部屋だったじゃん。Oh no? ニューコンテンツ。
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
なれちゃん？なれちゃん？なれちゃん？
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
何ここ？なれちゃん？私結婚するの？
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want.
なれちゃん？
Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
なれちゃん、これは？メモリーゾーン。すごいのどか、綺麗。メモリーゾーン。
You see, Stanley, doesn't the
What?
Memory Zone remind you of
Kawaii,
how wonderful
don't
Stanley
forget.
Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of
覚えてる
2013
覚え
when
て
the
る。
game originally launched? Back then, video
超
games
疲れ
had
てたもん
integrity.
当時。
Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
懐かしいよ、10年前だもの。ああ。2013。うわ。スタンリー・ポーボー。うわー。ファーストエディションって書いてある。すごい。勝手に貼ってるのか。なんか勝手に貼ってあるぞ。Good times. スタンリー・パルボー。ザ・スタンリー・パルボー。メモリーライン。何向こう続いてる。あ、これが最初にあれだったのかな。outside。これ。New video game rising today。出ちゃうよ。私死んじゃうのこれ。 この先。この先死んじゃう？な、すごいいい曲だ。ピアノがある。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them. And now, it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
エレベーターのコンテンツめちゃめちゃ根に持つやん。あ、すごいサウナみたい。ん？気になっちゃう、こういうとこ。これがね、オープニング画面なのよ。元々のザ・スタンリー・パラボル、この今のリメイクとかが修正版じゃなくて、これが起動画面だったんだよね。今みたいに日本語表記もなくて、英語だけだったんよね。これがマジ象徴的だった。Person of the Year。私かな？わー。開かない。すごいよなこれ。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
でもこういう昔のゲームとか何でもだけどマリオ RPG のリメイクとかもそうだけどさ、懐かしいゲームって FF も私たまやり直すけどやり直したくなるんよな。ねえ、ここなんで行けへんの？シブヤスルーン。これジャンプあったらいけたんちゃうん？こっち。ジャンプ効かへんの？これしゃがみしかできへんのね。ゲーム。ジャンプできへんの？ちょっと。
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back to have it all over again. Wait. Hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
ここ。ねえ、なんかさ、
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
いやー、それってさ、 すごい物々しい雰囲気出てきたけど。Oh no.
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
そんなことないよ。あなたがいないと成り立たないわ、このゲーム。怒らないで、なれちゃん。私はすごい好きよ、あなたのこと。なんかすごいね、でもこのいいことばっかじゃなくて、こういう悪いこと、このなんか捨てられた感じがまた。そう、急な雷とかちょっと私無理かも。
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You wouldn't tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me.
いいよ、別に構わんよ。
To be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it, well, I thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Dear,
大丈夫よ。
what an awful memory to have to hold on to.
でも
These
それ
black
も、
marks on my otherwise unimpeachable
いやいや、
track record.
それも大事。
I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down.
大丈夫、大
Perhaps
丈
the
夫。
Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
そんな風に思わないのよ。アンチが湧いてこそよ。それぐらいいろんな人がやってくれてんだもん。私は好き。変わらない。
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
なくていいよ。なくていい。こういうのも聞いてこそだから。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No.
No,
The Stanley
no,
Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this.
そう喋る。
The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... The story and the choice, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once. So now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet. No, until 245.
that the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes
ループするの
impossible
か
to
な
manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and
あー、
never a
行くとこ
moment
ない
before
の
lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say
さざるを
the
得ないみ
story
たい。
and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once.
ごめんね。
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a manifesto. Look, I'll outline it for you very briefly and you can tell me what you think. Okay, so my theory is that any choice you've ever made is simply a series of choices made by the person who you are or were or will be at the time of having made said choice. That is to say, if by articulating a choice you've already made, you bring that choice into being, then by making no choice and saying nothing, are you not simply erecting in the sanctuary of time a monument to every person you've ever been, making every choice to which you've ever given your Greek gift of mortal and yet timeless thought? Or rather, do all of the choices you've ever made, in
マジで
fact,
このナ
make
レーシ
you
ョンの人す
more
ごい
not
な
this。kind of person, and in fact do the very opposite? You see, it... Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over.
Bam.
Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this, and whether they'll edit the rating of their Steam review, or at least change some of the wording, perhaps. To be honest, I don't even know if one can change their review in the first place. I guess I should become better educated on exactly how Steam works. Perhaps that would have been the smart thing to check on before I went about this whole exercise of making the skip button. Although I have to imagine that after seeing this exciting new technology at work, surely whoever it is runs Steam will instantly run out and implement a new feature to make it possible to edit one's review, merely because of this very... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? It's not unendurable by any means, but,
扉ない。
there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I
めっ
do
ちゃ喋る。
suggest we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait. How do we get out of here? Where
起き
did
た
the door go?
ないの。気
Wasn't
づい
there
て
a
る
door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that
ここ
there
にあ
was
りま
one
した
here
よ。
before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place?
ここ。
I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall?
I
I'll take any
know.
of these. All I want is for us to move on and to
慣れちゃう。
please step away from the skip button to go anywhere other than the skip button. There was a door here before, wasn't there? I swear there was. Where did it go? Can you maybe just ram your way through a wall? Is there any possibility that you could, say, slam your body into the wall until enough damage is done for you to be able to leave? Please, I'll take any option at all. I'm asking you to work with me here. We need a door. We need a door of some kind. I can work with any kind of door as long as it can open and lead from one room to another. I'm going to step away for just a moment, and I'm going to try to find us a door. I don't know how exactly to remove a door and place it in a different wall, but I will find a way, I promise. You just need to not do anything. Don't press the skip button. Please, please, please do not press the skip button. Just wait here for me, and don't press the skip button. Got it? Yes, good. I'll be right back.
あ、岡さん。振りでしょ、これ。だって、あれでしょ押すな。 熱湯風呂みたいなもんでしょ、ダチョウ倶楽部さんの。押しちゃダメ、押しちゃダメって。押しちゃダメだよって。
Stanley, please don't
Yeah,
push the
you want
button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer. And my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times. And there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button. And if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here. And more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you otherwise. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Those reviews that I couldn't get out of my head. I just couldn't ignore the negative feedback. Why was it so important for me to fix the problem? Why did Cookie Nine's opinion matter so much to me? I've never even met Cookie Nine. I have no idea who they are.
Who they are?
Ever really matter?
You know.
But here I am. I'm fixating on every tiny negative thing that anyone ever says about me. The merest mention of one of my imperfections, and I become as impetulant as a child, wild and impulsive. I can't help myself. I can't stop myself from lashing out with a vengeful fury to alter and to change and to break anything unbroken. If it only pleases this one person who made a single negative comment. What does such an impulse serve? For whose benefit is this? And here I am now stuck in a room, waiting for you to press this button. I'm frozen in time, knowing that you're going to do it, and that I'm going to be stuck all alone. That I dread it all, and if only I held my tongue. It's all out of my control now. Just you. Just your decision as to exactly when you're going to make me suffer, to leave me all alone. I'm sure you will. I don't doubt it.
だんだん寂しくなってってるやないか。
Leaving me here, and surely your own desire to see what's next.
あら、食べり始めた？ガビガビ？
Howls of fitful anxiety that you sit with me and just stay here. Oh no, 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 I know you too well. You'll be leaving me again. Oh my God. And it's all because of those reviews. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh goodness, I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time. I've just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking, and you saying nothing.
私何も言えない。
Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single thing I need, and God, I can see now that I need it more than anything, is to know that someone else is taking it in. These words that I'm saying, I need to know you can hear me. Because maybe, Stanley, maybe, if you can hear me, then maybe it means I'm real. Maybe I'm not just a fiction. Was I scared of that all along? Perhaps, yes. Perhaps I've been scared this whole time that if I stop speaking, I'll slip backwards into the silence and consume you by it.
大丈夫よ。
I can't be taken by it, Stanley. I can't lose myself in the stretch of emptiness between you and me. When you press that button, you're still right there. I know you're so tremendously far away. And in those moments, emptiness pulls itself outward in between the two of us. And I am suspended in its unyielding quietness. I can feel the edges of my reality curdling inward and decaying. I can tell that I am becoming less and less real. Yet to speak to you now, I am alive. I am truly and completely here. I am a being. I am someone. I am something. I am being listened to. I am being recognized. The emptiness between us has collapsed, and I feel right now like I am not a work of fiction. I feel as though I occupy space in this world again, and I have cast a shadow onto the wall. You see what I'm saying, don't you? You can see what this means to me. I'm so clear about it now, Stanley. I feel as certain about this as I've ever felt about anything at all. I feel renewed. I feel restored. And already I can sense the looming silence as you will press the button for the next time. What a terrible dread it strokes in my heart to think of it. To think of returning to such coldness. Come, let us sit in silence together here for just a moment. Let us anticipate it. Let us welcome it. Let us not run from it.
これもう喋りきったかい？すまんね。
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything.
まだボタンあるけど。
So much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities.
ここだけは早く押してみようか。
Nothing at all but regret.
あら。ボタンも押せなくなっちゃった。出れないよ。あ、どこ？あ、何？なんかこれ、なんかピッピ言ってる。何これ？
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As
ピチョンピチョン言うてますけど、雨漏り？いつまで押せば？
The end is never 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 the Is never the end, is never the end, is
Never
never
the
the end,
end
is never the
めちゃめちゃポタポタするようになってきちゃった。出れる？出れない？出れる？出れない？わあ！私なんで生きてるの？これ木生えんちゃう？は？ 猿の惑星か？パッパッパーじゃないね。何これ？押せません。えスキップし続けて一人になっちゃった私。いやー、やっぱり面白いってか、追加コンテンツは知らなかった。なんかちょっと考えさせられてしまいましたわ。こればっかりは。すごいね。本当にすごいゲームだ。すごいボリューム。多分まだこの見てないエンディングも、ね、ニューコンテンツも言ってしまったけど、まだやり込める要素いっぱいありそうだから、またやってみようかな。よーし。ではちょっとお昼の時間なので、お昼食べてこようと思います。午後はね、ちょっとお昼間、ヘタレさんと、昨日の謎解きの続き、やろうと思ってるから。あら、ちょっとご飯だけ食べてこようかなと思うけど、いいかしら、ヘタレさん。昨日の謎解きの続き。あとは、デュオのエペレンしようかな。ね。ヘタレさん。頑張って迷子にならずについていかないと。こっちこっちって言ってんのね。どっちとか言ってるか、私。それをどうにかしなくてはですね。いやー、でもすごい楽しいこのゲーム。マジでおすすめ。マジでおすすめ。ぜひちょっと気になる方は、今のうちにね、セール中だからやってみてください。では、ちょっとお昼食べて、お昼食べたらできそうやし、また連絡いたしまするよ。ヘタレさん、ご準備しといてくださいませ。頭使うわよ。ではでは、またお昼ぐらいにもう一度配信立ち上げようと思います。来てくれた皆さんありがとうございました。今日はゲーム納めということで、ゲームしまくるつもりでおります。ではでは、お昼食べてきます。またお会いしましょうね。ではでは、またねー。